What is up, League? Today we're bringing back another pod. I got a little bored with the format of just reading the matchups every single week, so I stopped doing them. It also doesn't help that my team hasn't been the number one team in the league. Um, but this week I'm gonna be doing something different because it's the middle of the season and so many of the matchups are extremely close. I thought it'd be fun to give the teams that I think are going to make playoffs, and I'm also joined here today by Braxton.
Hey fellas, happy to be here.
Um, yeah, and so I don't have his camera on because technical issues, but nonetheless, we both made a list of our top six players or top six teams, and we're just gonna, I guess, talk about them and why we have who we have. Me and Braxton really haven't discussed why we picked them with each other, so I've seen his list, he's seen mine. So, but let's just get right into it. And we'll start off with the rip just by doing our number one team. And this should be no surprise that we both chose Rockstar Domination as clearly making it. You can take off here, Braxton, if you want to.
Um, Starting with your dad's team, yeah, not really a surprise here. Let me find him on here. I just think if his team stays healthy, there's no way he doesn't make the playoffs at the minimum. Jonathan Taylor, Puka Nacua, and I think Jalen Waddle is about to pop too, just without Tyreek. Um, Along with that, Baker Mayfield playing like a top five quarterback. Number one tight end, Jake Ferguson. I don't know if that'll stay how it is with CD coming back, with the targets probably dropping a little bit. But compared to some of the other teams, I think there's just no way he doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he's 7-0. It's very difficult to not make playoffs if you start 7-0. Colin did it last year. But last year was a different season and the tiebreakers were different. You just because you scored, the highest amount of points doesn't mean you necessarily are going to make playoffs. From tiebreakers. It was intra-division, but now it is. And so, if you go look at the standings, uh, my dad's team has 900 points, and then Ryan's team is 834, and then there's a pretty big gap. So, for teams like Christian and Abbas and Colin, uh, it's going to be fairly difficult to catch him. So that's kind of like three teams that aren't likely to beat him out anyways. Um, and so I mean, I think it's clear cut gonna make it. His team's really good and will probably, could even make it this week. He plays Tate, who I think is a pretty good team this week. So he may not necessarily for sure make playoffs this week, but it's it's almost certain gonna happen.
There's a
Um,
good point where, I mean, being 7-0, he could just win one or two more and
yeah,
probably still make it. So
yeah, and I mean, you know, who's he got? He's got to play Ryan, who's a pretty tough team, and I mean there's not really any bad teams in the league. You can maybe say Collins because his team's 2-5, but I don't think Collins' team's even that bad. I think he's just had bad luck. Um, but we can get into the next team, which let's take a look here, and we both agreed that Ryan's team is the second. I think you know Ryan and my dad are a clear cut 1 and 2 in the league right now. I think they are the most consistent in putting up points week to week. Ryan had a slow start to the year, and if he didn't have the slow start that he had, he likely would have just as many points as my dad. And so, both their teams are very good. So he started 80-80 and then hasn't dropped below 111 this whole year. So his team's off to a hot start, and it's he just has a lot of good players. Judkins is coming up. Jalen Hurts is still good. He has Jameer Gibbs, who's clear cut on the team. Rasheed Rice was added. So Ryan's team's definitely very scary. A little disappointing to me because I would hate to have him go back to back. But what are your thoughts, Braxton?
I always find myself really liking those teams that have like three running backs that can give you about 15 points a game
Mhm.
with, Junkins. Jahmyr Gibbs more like 20, and Kyron Williams. And then he's got the receiver ice back to give him wide receiver one numbers. Trey
Yeah,
McBride is a tight end. Really like that team. I wouldn't really be surprised if he took over first place towards the end of the season.
yeah. Ryan's team definitely has the ability to do it. It's a clear cut 1 and 2 to me. Um, and I think the rest of the league is where this will probably get a little more interesting, just because everyone's so close. Everyone's 3 and 4, 4 and 3, and anybody could make it any given week. So Ryan's team definitely. I still don't think there's any way they don't. They're way too good right now. But he could get injuries. There's been lots of injuries this year, and we're only halfway through.
I
So
will say with Ryan's team, I think other than Rasheed Rice, his receivers could be hit or miss. Like DeVonta Smith just came off of a great game, but like usually the Eagles don't throw it that much.
yeah,
Tedero
14.
been a little slow, but I think he could be one of those rookies to catch fire towards the middle to the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Devontae Smith's spread of points, it's pretty clear that he's not going to be a consistent receiver. But Ryan's up a game right now. The rest of his team's good enough where I think he'll probably be fine. Um, but
It
yeah,
does help with
it's
Trey McBride
yeah,
as a tight end too.
yeah. I mean, Trey McBride is probably the best. I don't. I guess Jake Ferguson's above him. But Trey McBride's probably the best tight end in the league,
Hmm.
and with uh, CD coming back to the Cowboys, Trey McBride will probably overtake number one. Not that it actually matters that much. Um, but yeah, so clear cut 1 and 2 there. So we'll get right into our third, which I think we
Say from
differ. Or what were you gonna say?
from here on out, it's not so much of ranking for me. It's just people that are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't really number this. I just kind of did it, who I thought, and I'm in the same boat as Braxton where I had reasons why they edged out some of the other teams, but we can kind of go between. We can start with Times Khalil on your side and why you maybe think Leo's gonna make it.
Leo was one of the ones where I wasn't really sure, but looking more at it, I just think Jamar is going to be playing way better with Joe Flacco. I don't really love his running backs all that much, but he's got Lamar, which I think is going to put up quarterback one numbers just about every single game he's playing. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of had him in there. Don't like the running backs, but he's got stud wide receivers, Lamar Jackson. I do think George Pickens might, take a little bit more of a backseat to CD, obviously, but he's still going to have those pop games. Um, I have faith that Lad McConkey will be a little bit better. Keenan Allen, if he can continue the whole season, is going to steal some of those targets. But I mean, 9 last week against the Colts. I think he's a stud. But
Yeah, yep.
don't really love his bench all that much. A lot of Titans players, but I think he can squeak it out.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Leo's team is one of those teams where uh, you have a few guys that can put up enough points to carry you through.
He can have
Right?
Lamar Jackson and Jamar Chase getting about 50 a week and,
Yeah, exactly.
scrounge up some of the other points.
Yeah, and so I think I honestly I think Leo probably had. I mean, not even probably. Well, I guess it is up for debate because the other team that I chose was just Allen's. I think Leo's team is debatably the best receiving core, if not definitely the best receiving core in the league. And he has Lamar Jackson and I mean Brees Hall's bound to maybe have a week or two. I mean position 21. Yeah, I mean obviously his running backs aren't the best, and but we knew that going into the season when I did my pre-draft video or post-draft video that mine and Leo's running backs both sucked. Like there is just no way around it. But I said both our receivers are really good. Leo's receivers did end up being really good. Mine didn't. Um, but yeah, so I think Leo's team, as long as they get healthy, they'll probably make the playoffs. But
I feel like we're probably going to be saying that a lot in this video, is barring
yeah,
injury on a lot of these.
yeah. I would agree. I think there's been a lot of injuries this year, and so not many teams have depth. And if they have depth, they usually don't have superstars on their team. Uh,
That's a good segue into Allen's team
yep.
for me.
Yeah, and so I chose Allen. Which from my opinion on Allen's team is I just think that Herbert's been pretty good this year. JSN and Amon Ra are, the probably the best receiving core in the league right now that you could have. I mean, it's literally the wide receiver one and two. And so to me, him and Leo's teams are very reminiscent of each other. But I do think the ceiling that Rico Dowdle can provide, even with Chuba Hubbard there, is better than what we've seen from Leo's running backs. And Swift has been surprisingly good. And so I actually think Allen's team is just slightly better than Leo's. They're pretty much the same team to me. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is better than Herbert, I mean, both fantasy and football wise. But to me, they're the same team. I just think Allen's is a slightly better version.
Yeah, the only reason why I didn't include Allen's team is I just think the lack of depth is really going to hurt.
Hmm.
If he loses one guy, I think he's done.
Yep. Yeah.
Like I love JSN, love Amon Ra. Now, if he still had Malik Neighbors, this is a completely different story. He's in the top two, top three,
Yeah.
probably top two.
Yeah, for sure. But that's kind of the risk Allen took whenever he traded you the Bucky Irving and Emeka Egbuka trade for Amon Ra, is he was giving up depth to, in his opinion, create a higher ceiling team. Unfortunately, Malik got hurt, and but I mean Bucky's also been hurt, and Emeka has kind of been hurt, kind of not.
Eh, Missed a
Um,
game, but still
yeah,
injured.
yeah. I think the trade overall has been pretty even. I don't think there's been a clear cut winner yet, and we'll just have to find, wait longer to see.
Yep.
But if you don't have anything else to say about Allen's team, we can move on.
Ready to move on?
Yep. All right. Clear formats, and we both had your team, so it's a good segue into your team. Uh,
What are your thoughts on the squad here?
um, my overall thoughts are that I think your team is good as a whole unit if they get healthy. And as you just said a minute ago, is you know, that's the whole key here is getting healthy. And so your team is obviously extremely well rounded. I think Derrick Henry gets better when Lamar Jackson is back. And so, I think he's going to be better than the 20th ranked running
They'll
back this year.
be
And
more in positive game scripts, can run the ball more.
exactly.
Won't have Hill in the backfield catching all those passes, hopefully.
Yeah. And Bucky, I'm assuming he'll be back, and the Bucks are one of the best offenses in the league right now. Uh, you know, I actually think Jordan Addison might be better as your wide receiver or two, and Maka as your wide receiver one. Obviously, it doesn't actually matter, but just for looking at the team,
I mean, it
um,
should have been Terry McLaurin, but that's
yeah,
not worked out so far.
yeah,
Just about
been weird.
every other fourth round pick has been pretty bad this season.
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely just hoping for the best on that round, and you have Tucker Kraft who's been great this year, and did he miss a game? Yeah, he missed the game, or that's bye week. Okay, that's why he's not as high. I was gonna say. So yeah, he's probably higher actually than the tight end number 5. But yeah, I just overall thought I think your team as a starting lineup is very well rounded. Um, but if your team doesn't get healthy, then obviously to me you would drop down a little bit to maybe even off the list.
I would totally agree. I think me starting off winning 3 games is really helping with my injuries
Hmm.
at that 4-3 spot right now. Mahomes being QB1 currently before bye week, obviously. But I had a close game with your dad last week, despite having to start Vidal and Michael Carter. So we can scrounge out some victories, hopefully get healthy in a week or two, pick up some more wins and secure a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
I
Uh,
have been looking to move Jordan Addison, I will say.
yeah. So if anyone's interested that's listening, if anyone actually listens to this segment, then
He is on the trade block.
Yeah,
So
I
is
mean,
Terry McLaurin, but I don't know if anybody really wants him.
yeah. Um, yeah, we can move on to the fifth team, which we both have Tate's team. Which do you want to take the lead on Tate?
Yeah. I really like his running backs. I mean, Christian McCaffrey and Cam Skattebo have been studs this year, and I think any team that has Christian McCaffrey, and if he plays these games, more than likely he's going to make the playoffs. Um, and then Drake London, stud. T. Higgs with Joe Flacco now. He's got the stack. I think he can definitely put up some numbers. Uh, I kind of like his depth on the bench too with Wandale Robinson and David Montgomery. He's got some guys he can throw in there. Tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Harold Fannin. Once again, well-rounded team. Kind of reminds me of my team a little bit, but I guess I've got a quarterback and he doesn't. He might have a couple extra running backs, but I do like his team.
Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna obviously have Flacco starting most weeks. I wouldn't think. Usually he's probably gonna have Stafford or Goff playing. They're both
Touchdown
on the
leader this
bye.
season.
Yep, literally the touchdown leader. He doesn't get the groundwork at all, but he's been really, really good and consistent, and has probably I don't know where you'd rank the receiving duo, but I mean you could argue them as the best, or
Definitely
or
top two or
definitely
three.
top. Yeah, I mean it's definitely got to be like a top 2 or 3 unit. And so he should most games have a pretty easy time getting points. I would think the consistency would be there, and it has been. And CMC is great. Drake London's great. Uh,
Cam
who
Skattebo great.
Yeah, Cam Skattebo. I mean, he's running back 8 this year, which is I don't think anybody saw coming. And the
He's going
Tyrone
to get
started
those
the
goal
injury
line
help,
carries.
and then they start feeding him, and he's been great. And hard to imagine they don't just keep doing that. Probably
Yeah, I feel
running
like
him
as
some
long as that
routes.
offense gets in the red zone, he's going to get those carries and probably get in.
Yeah, nah. I mean, Tate's got the RB upside that most teams don't have in the league right now, and uh, it's hard to come by. And so, yeah, I think overall his team is kind of similar to yours. I think you guys are a little flip flop. I think his running backs are better than yours, but your receivers are better than
Mhm.
his. Um, yeah,
I don't think he's got Drake London who's a stud, but other than that, I think he's got some good players.
yeah,
Maybe not great, but he has enough of them between
yeah,
Drake London, T. Higgs, Stephon Diggs, and Wandale Robinson to where if he has those bye weeks, he can be comfortable throwing one of those guys in and getting him some points.
yeah. I agree. So overall, it's a great team. And let's move on here. So here I chose Leo as my last team, and Braxton chose Ermin. We already talked about Leo's teams, but I'll say one last thing. Kind of what put Leo as the six for me over anybody else uh, was the fact that I like his schedule, that he doesn't have to. I think he's one of the few teams that doesn't have to play either Ryan or my dad the rest of the year. And so, in his case, it's pretty fortunate that he doesn't have to. I mean, he gets Colin, gets Justin twice. Definitely a lucky man to be playing Justin twice. Uh, but yeah, I think the schedule kind of etched him out for me. But we don't really have to talk about Leo's team much more. We can talk about Ermin's team. If you want to take the lead on that, since you chose him to go.
Yeah, I think he's got some boom guys on his roster. He's got Bijan. AJ Brown's going to have better games. Michael Pittman has been fantastic. I just like his team. Tight end Dallas Goddard and Travis Kelsey. Dallas Goddard has caught like 10 passes and six of them have been touchdowns, it seems like. I don't know how much that's going to keep up, but it's kind of like the Christian McCaffrey thing to where he's got Bijan who can kind of give him enough points each week.
Yeah,
And Omarion Hampton off of IR, he comes back, and I really like his running back room.
yeah. I mean, Ermin's team is obviously good. I struggled with, not putting his team in the playoffs. I think for me, I thought his team was a little, maybe just a little more inconsistent than the others. His boom weeks are going to be high. I
You
think the
definitely
battery
see
is
that
pretty
with AJ
bad.
Brown and DK Metcalf.
But I will mention, once Lamar's fully back, I think Zay Flowers gets a big buff. I would say a pretty substantial one, likely, um, with him.
He might have
So
some tough decisions on who to start at wide receiver though,
yeah, and
with
Erman,
AJ,
he may
DK, Zay
want to try
Flowers.
to, he might try to want to package out a receiver, to build up that running back depth on his team.
Not exactly sure when Marion Hampton's coming back, but
Yeah,
stud when he is.
yeah. Um, estimated 11:30. So I mean, honestly, I would try to package up his receivers, try to get a running back to play because that might be a little bit late. Um,
With him being 3 and 4, I think it might be
yeah,
smart.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. Um, but I mean, Erman's team definitely could make it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I believe he's sixth right now based off of points. Yep. Yeah, so he's sixth right now, so he's performed as a top six who would make it, but we're only halfway through, and I guess for you, did you have any teams that, you thought particularly was difficult for you to leave out?
Um, I think it was Allen's team just
Okay.
because of how good his receivers are.
Yeah. I
But
thought, yeah. Good.
I liked I think it was Ehrman that you didn't have, right?
Yeah, I didn't have Ehrman.
Yeah, I liked his depth a little bit more with his players to where Allen has a couple great guys. Ehrman's got Bijan and injured Amari and Hampton, which I really like the running backs. Like I said earlier,
Mhm.
if people have two stud running backs, I just like their odds.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Running backs are gonna be hard to come by, and with all the injuries we've had this year, we're only halfway through, so there'll probably be a similar amount, if not more, because players have been playing, and it could get a whole lot worse. Um, it should be an interesting, at least should be an interesting, push into the playoffs. All of our points are fairly close to each other. Um, so
Something I realized after I made my little list is mine is exactly the same as the power rankings in ESPN on who's going to make the playoffs.
you're saying based on playoff percentages?
There's a tab in league settings
Oh,
where
I
it
didn't
shows
know.
like where we started. Where's the power?
Oh, yeah, I got you. I got you.
I might be under league home. Yep, league home and scroll down to power rankings.
League home power rankings.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
didn't realize, but all of my top six are what ESPN projects right now.
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, once they have more data, their probably actually becomes pretty accurate. Like, I mean, you see Collins went from 1 to 12, so like the initial isn't that accurate. Um, and you know, to me, I think I talked about all the teams that I thought were pretty close to making it in. But like, if my team, the main thing with my team is, I thought that I'm just not going to be able to push through. I think my team's going to start falling off a little more and a little more each week as the players that have been hurt that has benefited my team are coming back, and I think I'm going to fall off the fall off the
The
horse by
the
the end.
notes that I had for your team is I didn't love your running back room, and
Yeah,
obviously
that's going to
key
fall
theme for
apart.
me is liking the running back room for getting in
Yeah.
the playoffs. And between you and some other teams where I didn't like the running back, I was out on Brian Thomas really. Like
Oh,
he's going to be good, but I kind of done trusting in him and wondering if I want to trade for him or not.
yeah. No, I have no faith in Brian Thomas right now. I'm probably not going to trade him. Because I just know I'm getting low value, so I'd rather take the risk and pray
Yeah.
to God he becomes the Brian Thomas he was last year.
I think your saving grace is kind of like reminds me of Leo's team where he's got Lamar and Jamar,
Yeah, but mine's
where
like
you have
way worse.
Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson.
But yeah, Justin Jefferson just hasn't gotten the same
Right.
workload as Jamar this year, and obviously Justin Jefferson's debatably the best receiver in the NFL, but the passing play in Cincinnati in the game, or just the way they play the game is much different than Minnesota.
Doesn't always correlate to fantasy value.
No. Um, but yeah, so Let's see if there's any other teams. Let's see who's the
I
other
got a
ones.
few notes on a couple of the teams on why I didn't put him in there,
Go
like
starting
a boss,
Justin,
for
or we
instance.
can go to boss. We can go boss.
Um, One of the main things is Nico Collins underperforming a bit, Chase Brown underperforming, who I think is going to get a little bit better with Joe Flacco, just because the offense is going to be better. But along with that is he has a hole at quarterback in my eyes. He doesn't have a top 20 quarterback on his roster right now. What is Michael Penix? He's 25. Kyler Murray's 28. I know Kyler's missed a couple games, but even when they're playing, it's I don't have faith in those guys putting up 20 points consistently, like some of the other people that I think do make the playoffs.
Yeah,
That, along with the inconsistencies and underperforming, are between Nico and Chase Brown. Don't love the roster.
yeah. I mean, it's tough, whenever your top two picks aren't performing well.
Yeah,
I mean, you're pretty much, they always say in fantasy, or like all the commentators always say that your first two rounds aren't gonna win you the league, but they'll lose you the league. And a boss's
prime
first two
example.
rounds are the weakest, some of his weakest players on his team so far.
I mean, I
Um,
do like Javante and Travis Etienne, but I don't think it moves the needle enough for me to put him in the playoffs.
yeah, yeah, I would agree. But anything can happen. We're only halfway through. Everyone's close right now, so you know, I'd say the only team I'm pretty confident won't make it is Collins' team. He's already 2-5, and he's got to
I
play my dad and Ryan the next 2 weeks, and he plays
I really
Allen.
liked Collins' team at the start of the season.
I did too. I had him as the number one team. I look like an
Yeah,
idiot.
and Saquon has been underperforming. James Cook has been great. DJ Moore has been awful.
Yeah, I think Colin, probably because the last 7 weeks of last year he was unlucky. So his last 14 weeks of football been kind of rough, and maybe a little bit unlucky. Um, and I would like to see Colin make a late season charge and prove me wrong, but I just think he took Brock Bowers early. He's been hurt like the whole year it feels like, and
That, along with Saquon,
yeah, and Saquon just not being good.
hard to get some wins.
Yeah. So that's all I got. If you got anything else to add, welcome to.
Last team that I have something written down for
Yep.
was Lytle's team, the Asparagus.
Mhm.
Um, my notes are who's the boom guy on his team. Like he's got Josh Jacobs, that's that guy. But other than that, I see a lot of inconsistent wide receivers. Xavier Worthy, Rome Odunze. I think that inconsistency is starting to show with Rome. Maybe that means DJ Moore will pick it up, but between that and Genty and the Raiders being atrocious, I think it might be a struggle for him to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that Justin gets some value out of Tyler Warren being one of the better tight ends this year. Obviously, you can say if you think that's going to stay consistent or not, because they've been the best offense of all time for the first 7 weeks.
I don't
Um,
know if it'll continue doing that, but while it
yeah,
is, maybe he can squeak out some wins.
but yeah. I mean, Tyler Warren, I would argue is a boom just because he's been so good. But if the Colts keep up, I don't think I wouldn't write Justin's team out yet. I think they're good enough to squeak in. But definitely, I wouldn't put money on it.
I would find it hard if I was in his shoes to figure out which receiver I wanted to start every week.
Yeah,
Like Marvin Harrison, you might want to start him, but it's like, what are you getting yourself into?
yeah, yeah. I don't even know who's even the backup QB. Isn't Kyler hurt right now?
Jacoby Brissett, I
Oh yeah,
believe.
yeah. Jacoby Brissett. That's right. Yeah, that's not the guy I definitely wouldn't want him being my guy.
No, I do
Um,
like the players, but couldn't put him in my top six.
yeah. Um, let's see. I guess. Did you have any comments on Christian's team? Since I guess it's the only team we haven't talked about.
Um,
I would say on Christian's team, he just it doesn't. Kind of lacks. I mean, I figured you would like it. This is. I figured you'd like
I
Christian Steam.
I
His running
believe I
back's not that
did.
bad, and his
I did at
Dax.
the beginning of the season, I remember.
Yeah,
Um, Kenneth Walker, I still think is better than Charbonnet. Die on that hill, but Charbonnet's just vulturing those touchdowns.
yeah,
Makes me not like him as much as I used to. I love Devon Achan, but I think two is terrible. C Lamb's great, but yeah, he was one of the ones where I was contemplating on putting him in there
yeah, yeah. I
more
think.
than the other ones. Right on the edge for me.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Christian's team makes it. CD coming back. I mean, his team could ramp up for sure. I mean, he beat me last week. My team didn't really perform that good though.
If
Um,
Mike Evans was still healthy, I think he would have been there for me,
yeah, yeah. If
but I
Mike
don't love the
Evans, that'd be
flex
really good.
options
Yeah,
that
he's
he
not.
currently has.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. But I mean, again, he's a 3-4 team. The only team I don't think is gonna make is Collins. So I'd be surprised. Um, but yeah, that's all I got. Let's see. If anyone has any ideas for more videos to make, maybe I'll make another one of these when it's really close. Um, maybe the last week or two. But other than that, I don't really feel like doing recap videos. I think they're kind of long-winded and boring, honestly, to film, and I lose my voice when I do them. Um, but yeah, so if you have anything to leave off with Braxton, then this is it.
All good here.
All
Thanks
right,
for having me, Adam.
course, sir.